Old model steamboats in poor condition. Part 17. In this episode I show the special water tank, which also holds the gas tank to prevent chilling. I fit the gas burner to the mounting and show how it will be fitted to the water tank. I also fit the rudder and do some more repairs to the hull. In this clip I'm examining the condition of the paint on the water tank because, as an experiment, once I painted this brass water tank, I just left it on the bench and it's had tools on top of it and it's been scratched and it's been in and out of the boat. But when I examine the tank, it's only the black paint that's come off. The etch primer is firmly stuck to the brass. And what is this etch primer? If you haven't watched the rest of the series, you won't know. It's Precision Paint's single pack etch primer, and I followed the instructions. Then I waited over 24 hours before I put the black paint coat on. I tried to figure out where the best place to put the water bypass valve would be, and then it became very obvious. All I need to do is fit a globe valve to the water bypass return on the tank. This is a piece of brass hexagon in my Boxford lathe, and I've drilled it down the centre tapping size for 5/16 by 32, and for ME thread tapping sizes I generally use an imperial drill size, which is 2 imperial drill sizes less than the 5/16, so that is 9/32 of an inch. If you're an experienced engineer watching this, then don't worry about it. This is designed for beginners, and besides which it's the way I've always done it. I think I first read about it in Model Engineer many years ago. I think it was a method that LBSC recommended. This 2 imperial sizes down for the tapping size drill works with ME threads and BA sizes. It does not work with every type of thread. I've turned the part round in the chuck now and I'm just machining the other end. It's just to make it look a little bit fancier. I didn't bother changing the tool in the tool post, I'm just using the parting tool. And eventually I get a brass hexagon adapter that looks like this. So the first thing to do is to screw it fairly tightly to the tank, and then apply some retainer to the threads on the globe valve and screw the globe valve into the adapter. I took the piece of brass sheet to the drilling machine and countersunk the 2 holes in the brass sheet. And then I assembled the unit with countersunk bolts because this part has to sit up against the water tank. And here you see the principle. I haven't cut the brass sheet to length yet because I don't know how high the burner needs to sit on the brass tank to allow it to be exactly in line with the centre flue of the boiler. I have a choice here. I could just bend over the top like a hook so that it hooks onto the tank, or I may just use a couple of bolts at the top because really once the burner's in position it does not need to be moved. So here's the principle. This is the gas canister, and this sits in the water tank, which has water in it, but not sufficient water to make the gas tank float upwards, because don't forget the gas tank will be held in position by the gas pipe. The gas tank, as you can see, is very easy to remove and replace. And as a bonus, by mounting the burner to the actual water tank, some heat is going to be conducted into the water tank itself. And that is beneficial because it will stop the gas canister from chilling, and the usual problem of gas pressure drop owing to the gas canister chilling will be alleviated. Simple but effective, just the way I like it. The shaft of the rudder has a bit of a bend in it because I think when the boat was originally built it didn't line up with the bottom part. And the only thing that holds this rudder into the extended part of the keel is gravity, and that's no good at all. So by fitting a small piece of silicone rubber like this, cut to the right size so it matches the contour of the hull, this should put some positive pressure on the rudder and hold it permanently in position. Once this piece of silicone rubber tubing is slid onto the rudder tube, you can see in this clip that it's going to hold the rudder firmly into the bottom part. I applied some oil to the main rudder shaft as it went into the tube, and as you can see, the rudder moves very freely. This was the simplest method I could come up with. I could have used a stainless steel spring, but this will be fine. And that's another job completed. Almost ready for connecting to the servo. I think I've got the piece of silicone rubber tubing cut to just the right length, and it takes very little effort to move the rudder. As this rebuild nears completion, I can't really show you what I'm doing inside the boat, because even though this is quite a large model, the openings on top of the deck are quite small. And once my hand is in the way, you can't see much at all. I'll move it out of the way. There are some damaged and some missing parts to replace, and I've cut a piece of mahogany to the right length and I've just clamped it in place so you can see what I'm doing. This part was soldered to the deck, so now what I need to do is alter it slightly. Early on in this series I removed this part from the deck and cut a hole in the deck. This allows access to the rudder servo, and it also allows me to connect a push rod from the rudder servo to the tiller arm that operates the rudder. The paintwork on this boat is somewhat less than stunning, but the owner of the boat and myself decided that it wasn't a good idea to repaint it, because the way it looks captures the essence of an old fishing boat, but there are certain areas that do need attention. When this part sits on the deck at the stern, it's quite visible, and it's also very rusty inside, so I'm using a small drum sander fitted to my Minicraft drill to clean it up. This is where the part fits on the deck, and I'm going to modify this so I can have a push rod from the servo just inside it coming out to operate the tiller arm. So I need to remove the metal from one side of this part. I cut down each side very carefully with the bandsaw, and here I'm using my small Barco spanner to lever the metal back and forth until the solder joint breaks. The next job is a small and accurate soldering job. I'm going to fit a pair of hinges to this deck fitting so I can swing it up out of the way to gain access to the rudder servo. I'm using some Friolux paint. I get this from Blackgates Engineering, and it's actually finely powdered solder ready mixed in the pot with some flux. And all you have to do is coat the parts that you're going to solder in this mixture. And as you can see, I'm soldering on a pair of hinges. I positioned the hinges accurately on the part, and when the soldering process was completed, they look like this. Once everything had cooled, I used the completed assembly to mark out the positions to drill some holes in the deck, because I'm going to bolt these hinges down using some 10BA nuts and bolts. I held the part securely on the deck and drilled through the holes, and then I went all the way through the holes with a drill that is clearing size for 10BA. In this clip you can clearly see what's going to happen. The whole thing is going to be bolted down to the deck, and I can just lift it up to get at the rudder servo. But it's painting time first. I cleaned up the part and I'm going to paint it initially with HMG Paint's 1K etch primer. And once again, when using etch primer, don't go mad, do not overcoat. You need to be able to see the metal through it. That way the etching seems to be a lot better. And also, don't forget, allow at least 24 hours for the etch primer to do its work before overcoating. This is a new pack of JB Weld that's been in the workshop for a while, and I'm going to use this to repair the damaged woodwork on the boat. Normal procedure, 2 equal lengths and mix it thoroughly. In this clip I'm applying some JB Weld to both sides, both the wooden part and the metal part, and once I clamp them together, in 24 hours time when the JB Weld is set, it will be a very firm, secure joint. Both sides needed some JB Weld, and I'm using spring clamps to hold the parts in place until the JB Weld cures. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.